For some families, something like a Toyota RAV4 is just not gonna cut it. That's where the Ford Explorer comes in. The Explorer is a popular pick if you're looking for 3 rows of seats, but it's not the only SUV that should be on your list. At Edmunds, we drive and test every 3-row on the road. Now, we're teaming up with CarMax to help you pick the right used 3-row SUV. So what should you buy? The Explorer or something different? The Explorer is a classic. This thing's been around for over 30 years. And you could make the argument that it's the one responsible for all the SUVs you see on the road today. There's plenty to like here. The Explorer has enough room behind the 3rd row to carry some bags when all the seats are full. And the power liftgate is standard. You can fit a reduced 40-ounce tumbler up here, which is nice, and check out all this handy storage for the driver. You can organize your stuff and the kids' snacks too. You also get a crisp touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Pro tip, while the eye-catching tablet-style screen found on pricier models looks cool, we've tested it against this regular screen, and we found that this is much easier to use in the day-to-day. As car experts, we really like the way the Ford drives. It feels super stable, even on windy roads. The base engine is pretty strong compared to the competition, and the top-of-the-line ST and Platinum trim levels get a super quick turbo V6, which our editors called bonkers after driving it on our test track. To top it off, both engines can tow more than 5,000 pounds. That's a lot for an SUV this size. Boring SUV from behind the wheel? No. But if you want great hybrid fuel economy, don't get too excited about the Hybrid Explorer. You only get a few extra miles per gallon over the standard engine, so in our opinion, it doesn't make this option a slam dunk. Also, we sat in every SUV the Explorer goes up against, and we think you might not love some of the cheap filling materials. I mean, it's not terrible, but the farther you get from the front seat, the cheaper the materials appear. You get latch anchors for 4 car seats. 2 in the 2nd row and 2 in the 3rd row. Now, choosing the bench seat for the 2nd row doesn't add any additional anchors. But right up here is a family favorite, ceiling mounted air vents. For kids in car seats, this is the best way for them to get ventilation. Finally, the 3rd row. It's pretty small back here. And while many competitors can handle adults for road trips, we recommend this space for kids only. But you still get ceiling mounted air vents. On average, you'll spend a little more on one of these Explorers than some of its competitors. They typically cost a few thousand more than the other 2 vehicles we have here today. Now, if the Explorer is still a go for you, we recommend looking at the XLT trim, which in our opinion is the sweet spot of the lineup. It has a nicer interior compared to lower trim levels and lots of convenience features. If you asked any of our editors what 3-row SUV they should look at other than the Explorer, we'd probably start with the Kia Telluride, our top-ranked pick in the segment. But they can be comparatively expensive on the used market, and you're here to dig deeper. So, we say if value and passenger space are high on your wish list, you gotta check out the Volkswagen Atlas. It's VW's first 3-row SUV, which debuted back in 2018. And you know what? You can save a little bit of money by going with a 2020 or older model, since they refreshed the styling for 2021. We own an Atlas like this as part of our Edmunds long-term fleet, where we own a car for 2 years and drive it for 20,000 miles to see what it's really like to live with. And we liked it a lot for its stylish good looks, and we love the huge interior. Unlike the Explorer, there's ample space for adults in the 3rd row, and the Atlas has more cargo space. This is one of the roomiest interiors you'll find in a 3-row SUV until you step up in class to something massive and expensive like a Chevy Suburban. All this space means that there's plenty of room for family and plenty of room for child seats without crowding each other. And if you go with an Atlas with a bench seat like this one in the 2nd row, you get 3 latch points, which is really nice. The 3rd row only has upper anchors, so it's meant for forward-facing seats you can attach with a seatbelt, or kids and boosters. Look, the Ford Explorer is fun to drive, so in comparison, the Atlas does feel less sporty. But in our 2 years of ownership, we actually found the Atlas to be more comfortable in the day-to-day driving with a super smooth ride. Both engines, a turbo 4-cylinder and a V6, are slower than the Explorer, but we don't think they'll disappoint anyone other than the hardcore enthusiast. The biggest downsides to the engines? We found the V6 gets pretty bad MPG and isn't any faster when you need to merge on the freeway compared to the 4-cylinder. In our track and real-world testing, we recommend going with the 4 and probably saving yourself a few bucks in the process. For the trim, we suggest you go for an Atlas SE with a technology package like this one. That way you get most of the best features available in the Atlas lineup and you keep the price attractive. But say you want something that's comfortable, nice to drive, and has plenty of storage. That Venn diagram points to the super popular Honda Pilot. We owned a 2016 Pilot as part of our Edmunds long-term program too. Every Honda we've ever tested has had clever storage space, and the Pilot never disappointed us. There's storage under the trunk floor, large door pockets, and plenty of space here, there, and everywhere for smaller items. I mean, look at what I can fit in the center console. It's insane. Every Pilot gets a smooth V6 that's just as quick and nearly as efficient as the Ford Explorer. Plus, the ride is the perfect combination between sporty control and soft comfort. The seats are really nice too, and the cabin is nice and quiet. Overall, we found the Pilot a comfy place to be on a road trip. Now, second row vents are down here in the lower center, which isn't ideal because airflow doesn't reach kids in car seats the same way vents up high do. The third row, it's the same size as the Explorer. Definitely meant for kids, and also, if you're using latch, it's only available on the passenger side, so keep that in mind. Right here, we have the updated touchscreen available on 2019 and newer models. It has smartphone integration, a fairly responsive screen, and a volume knob. On 2018 and older models, like our long-term Pilot, we were not fans of the infotainment system. It is not easy to use with its funky menus, slow responses, and lack of volume knob. We say to make the most of their older setup, you're gonna have to stick with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay for ease of use. That means that you're gonna have to skip the base LX trim because it did not offer smartphone integration. We also say go with 2019 and newer Pilots since those have better technology features and a way better infotainment. If you can swing it, try to get a mid-level EXL trim, which has a leather interior, power liftgate, and tons of other family-friendly features. So what do you think? Do you still like the Ford Explorer the best? Tell us your pick in the comments below. And don't forget to let us know if there are any cars, trucks, or SUVs that you'd like to see us cover next. See you next time.